Hey everyone, Jack here. Now I know what you're thinking. Another car channel? But hold on a second. This isn't just any car channel. We're here to geek out over the quirks, the nuances, the things that make certain cars truly special. And what's more special than a manual transmission? That's why today, we're diving into the top 10 things you should never do in a manual car. Whether you're a seasoned gear jammer or just starting out, these tips are crucial for keeping your stick shift pride and joy running in tip-top shape. Let's get started. Alright, let's kick things off with a mistake I see all the time. Resting your hand on the gear stick. I get it feels natural, like you're the captain of a ship, navigating the high seas of traffic. But here's the thing, folks. That shifter is connected to a bunch of intricate parts down in your transmission. Parts that don't need the added pressure of your hand just chilling there. That's a recipe for premature wear and tear. Plus, two hands on the wheel is always safer. Speaking of safety and saving your transmission unnecessary wear, let's talk about hills. We've all been there, stuck on an incline, waiting for the light to change. Your instinct might be to use the clutch to hold the car in place, slightly slipping it to avoid rolling back. Resist that urge. While it might seem easier in the moment, constantly riding the clutch like that generates a ton of heat and friction. And guess what? That's clutch killer number one. Instead of sacrificing your clutch to the hill-holding gods, use your handbrake. It's there for a reason. Engage it when you're stopped, and when it's time to go, simply apply a bit of gas, release the handbrake, and smoothly engage the clutch. Your transmission and your wallet will thank you. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I get it, no resting on the shifter and use the handbrake on hills. But what's the big deal about keeping the car in gear at a red light? Well, picture this. You're at a standstill. Foot firmly planted on the clutch, patiently waiting for the light to turn green. Sounds harmless, right? Wrong. Holding the clutch down for extended periods puts unnecessary strain on the release bearing and the diaphragm spring. These components are essential for smooth clutch operation, and overworking them can lead to premature failure. And trust me, replacing a clutch is not cheap, nor is it a fun DIY project. So, do yourself a favor, and when you come to a stop, shift into neutral and give your clutch foot a well-deserved break. It's a simple change that can significantly extend the life of your clutch. Let's move on to another common mistake that can really do a number on your manual transmission: riding the clutch. This one's a bit insidious because it often happens subconsciously. You see, the clutch is not an on-off switch. It's a delicate dance of engagement and disengagement. Riding the clutch means keeping your foot resting on the pedal, even slightly, when you're not actively shifting. This constant partial engagement creates excessive friction, leading to premature wear on the clutch disc. And a worn-out clutch disc means a hefty repair bill, and potentially being stranded on the side of the road. The key to avoiding this is simple. Be mindful of your left foot. Once you've completed a shift, lift your foot completely off the clutch pedal and let it rest on the dead pedal, or the floor if your car doesn't have one. This ensures that the clutch is fully engaged, minimizing wear and tear. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Doug, what about shifting without the clutch? Isn't that like a secret race car driver technique? Well, yes, it's possible to shift without using the clutch, but it's a technique best left to the professionals. It requires a deep understanding of engine speed, gear ratios, and a whole lot of finesse. For us mere mortals, attempting to shift without the clutch is a recipe for disaster. It puts immense stress on the synchros, which are responsible for matching the speed of the engine and transmission during a shift. Grinding gears, transmission damage, and expensive repairs are all potential consequences of clutchless shifting gone wrong. So, unless you're a seasoned race car driver with years of experience, stick to using the clutch every time you shift. Your transmission will thank you. Let's talk about another common mistake that can really shorten the lifespan of your manual transmission: downshifting to slow down. I get it feels cool, like you're a race car driver blipping the throttle and downshifting aggressively. But in reality, it's just putting unnecessary wear and tear on your car. Here's the thing. Your brakes are designed to slow your car down, and they're incredibly good at it. Downshifting to slow down might seem like you're saving your brakes, but you're actually just transferring the wear and tear to your clutch, transmission, and engine. When you downshift, you're forcing the engine to spin faster to match the speed of the lower gear. This creates engine braking, which can be useful in certain situations, but using it as your primary means of slowing down is a recipe for premature wear. So next time you're approaching a red light or slowing down for traffic, resist the urge to downshift through every gear. Use your brakes for what they're designed to do and save the downshifting for when you need that extra bit of engine braking, like when descending a steep hill. Speaking of hills, let's debunk a dangerous myth: coasting in neutral. Now, I know what you might have heard: coasting in neutral saves fuel. And while that might have been true decades ago with older cars, modern fuel-injected vehicles are incredibly efficient at managing fuel consumption, even when in gear. Coasting in neutral might seem like a good idea, but it's actually incredibly dangerous. When you're coasting in neutral, you have less control over your vehicle. You lose the ability to engine brake, and it takes longer to re-engage the engine and regain control if you need to react quickly to a hazard. So, for the sake of safety and control, keep your car in gear when you're driving. Modern cars are smart enough to manage fuel consumption efficiently, even when you're not actively accelerating. Now, let's talk about a mistake that can be particularly damaging to your engine and transmission: lugging the engine. This one's all about understanding the concept of torque and how it relates to engine speed. Lugging the engine essentially means trying to accelerate from a low RPM in a high gear. Imagine this: you're cruising along in 5th gear at 25 miles per hour, and you decide to floor it to pass someone. The engine groans, shudders, and struggles to accelerate. That's lugging. When you lug the engine, you're putting a lot of stress on the crankshaft, connecting rods and bearings. It's like trying to lift a heavy weight with your arms fully extended instead of bending your elbows. It's just not how the engine is designed to operate. To avoid lugging the engine, be mindful of your RPMs and your gear selection. If you feel the engine struggling or hear a knocking sound, you're probably in too high of a gear. Downshift to a lower gear, let the engine rev a bit higher, and you'll find that it accelerates much more smoothly and safely. Speaking of shifting, let's address another common mistake: skipping gears when upshifting. Now, there are times when it's perfectly acceptable to skip a gear, like when you're accelerating gently and want to conserve fuel. But if you're accelerating with any kind of enthusiasm, it's best to shift through each gear sequentially. Skipping gears, especially under hard acceleration, can put unnecessary stress on the synchros. Remember those little guys? They're responsible for smoothing out the gear changes. When you skip gears, you're essentially asking the synchros to do double duty, which can lead to premature wear. So, unless you're trying to save fuel or driving conditions dictate otherwise, stick to shifting through each gear sequentially. It might seem like a small thing, but it can significantly extend the life of your transmission. Alright folks, let's wrap things up with a mistake that's as easy to avoid as it is common: resting your foot on the clutch pedal. I know it's tempting, especially on long drives, to find a comfortable spot for your left foot. But trust me, the clutch pedal is not the place. Resting your foot on the clutch pedal even slightly can lead to what's known as clutch drag. This means the clutch isn't fully engaging, leading to increased wear and tear on the clutch disc, release bearing, and throw-out bearing. It's like riding the clutch, just not as obvious. The solution? Simple. Keep your left foot off the clutch pedal unless you're actively shifting gears. Use the dead pedal if your car has one, or simply rest your foot on the floor. Your clutch will thank you for it. And there you have it, folks, 10 manual transmission mistakes to avoid like the plague. Remember, driving a manual car is a joy, a connection between man and machine that's becoming increasingly rare in this age of automation. By treating your transmission with respect and avoiding these common mistakes, you'll be ensuring that you can enjoy that connection for miles and miles to come. There you have it, folks. Follow these tips, treat your manual transmission with respect, and it'll reward you with countless miles of driving enjoyment. Remember, driving a stick shift is more than just a way to get around. It's an art, a skill, a connection to a bygone era of motoring. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to show some love with a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more car-related content, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And be sure to share this video with your friends who are just starting out with manual transmissions. Let's keep the manual dream alive. Until next time, happy driving.